Hi, today is June 2nd, 2014, and I'm here with Susan Skipp. She's going to share her story with you.
Where do you want me to begin?
When did you start going to family court with the divorce?
August of 2010.
Okay, and did you have an agreement, or how did things go?
I went 10 months without any support for the kids, and then
Support meaning?
child support, spouse support.
Okay.
People gave us food and gave us, my sister lent me money for childcare so I could work.
So it was difficult.
Yeah, it was very bad. And then we had a guardian ad litem appointed by a judge.
What judge?
Judge Bizzuto. Judge
Okay.
Bizzuto also had a divorce that was done by my former husband's attorney. Judge Bizzuto also appointed a guardian ad litem at that time, Mary Brigham, on September 9th of 2010. In February 2011, we came to a parenting agreement, and then in March we came to an agreement for a divorce on March 20th, 2011. Then, the proceeding was concluded. I had primary residence with the kids. I moved 6 minutes away from their school because I was unable to stay in the marital home. I was way beyond my means.
Now, how many children are involved here?
2.
Okay.
I have not seen them I haven't hugged them, talked to them in 20 months. And my daughter will be 14 in 2 months, and my son will be 12 in 3 months.
You're still fighting for them, though, correct?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yes, the whole time, entirely the whole time. I have a second appeal going right now. My first appeal is under reconsideration. I've also filed a federal suit with my children as plaintiffs for being denied their familial access. In February 2011, there was a parenting plan in which there was a huge part that was really important to me. There was illegal weapons and ammunition my kids had access to, and the guardian was ordered to get the serial numbers and make sure that they were registered and stored properly.
But that didn't happen.
No, that didn't happen. And
so, I mean, I know there's a lot that has gone on in your case,
mm-hmm.
and there's not enough. I don't think there's anything I could say to you. But they're not with you now.
No, they're not. We had an agreement for custody. We had an agreement for their school, and then my former husband's attorney modified custody, and the former GAL put in her own her own appearance.
A GAL can do that?
No.
I know you're not an attorney or anything.
No,
Susan,
by this time I know what GALs cannot do and can do, and they cannot
and
file.
Who is the GAL?
Her name is Mary Brigham. She's an attorney.
Okay.
She billed over $130,000. She spent 4% of her time with my children. She billed for a trial that she only testified for 45 minutes. She billed for $22,000 for that, for a trial that didn't need to happen because we had an agreement.
Right.
The 2 therapists involved are under investigation with the Department of Health for malpractice, negligence, and insurance fraud. That would be Howard Krieger and Sidney Horowitz. And Sidney Horowitz also perjured himself on the stand in my case and colluded with Mary Brigham to, cover up abuse that my children had been suffering, and also stop 2 DCF investigations.
So you're dealing a lot with family court and the different branches. There's the GAL, then the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing how that there's a lot of that going on.
Yeah, and
It's like business as usual, sort of.
It's like a little ring of a marketing plan of
Right. But these are our children.
Yeah, they're used as bargaining chips to cash in.
Now I know you had a lot. You spoke about Bill 494.
Yes.
And do you think that's going to help or be beneficial in any way to the family court system going forward?
I think that Bill 494 started off with a good intention, but towards the end of it, some judges were allowed to write law, which I think is a crossover of powers. Judges Solomon, Bizzuto, and Carroll wrote part of that bill. And it's an unconstitutional bill because now can't get rid of GALs, and they codified everything that they have been doing illegally. Now it's legal to do.
Wow. Now, why do you think, because everybody's very excited that this bill is going to be great, wonderful, perfect, it's going to solve all the problems in time, but it's not that way.
I think it's one of the most unconstitutional bills that has come up, and I cannot believe that people are lauding it. I mean, it does put some caps on it, but really it's just lip service. It's the same. You have to pick from 5 people. They're going to be the same 5 people that they always pick from.
Right. Now, for people who are listening and, learning, basically, because you've been doing this for years now, and
yeah.
It's extremely difficult, but the family court system is anything but easy.
It's broken. It's broken. They do not follow laws. They make up their own rules. They punitively punish people for.
You had a job.
Mm-hmm.
A very good job.
Mm-hmm.
I remember us speaking over the phone.
Yes.
And you worked with kids.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And
I'm a certified teacher, taught for 17 years, and the last 6 years, or 5 years, I was working in, oddly enough, CSSD, Court Support Services Facility, and that's the same entity that is Family Relations, the same entity that said I cannot be around my children, but I can take care of the state's children.
That's too bad.
Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, in August or July of 2010, right before the divorce, I was on the cover of their newsletter for work I did with the kids.
Well, I mean, I know you love learning and teaching, and the things that you've shown me that you've done with your own children, I was very amazed by. Your daughter, yes, she's very talented. And
we're in her room. This is the first time I've been in her room. Everything's covered.
You want me to show them?
Yeah.
I'll give a scan. Okay.
I mean, we just took off the everything just to sit in the bed, but everything's covered to keep the dust off. So when they come home, they could jump right into bed and right into their lives. But everything is.
She's got a beautiful canopy bed. But yeah, it is.
Everything's covered
all
up with sheets. And I cannot even bring myself to sit in my son's room. I don't think I could.
I know it's hard. You've had to do a lot of things during this time, including learning law.
Yeah.
Learning the law.
I suggest that no one gets an attorney if you ever have to go through family court, and try to stay out of it. It's just a racket of a money game to your financial affidavits are to see how much money that there is to be made and taken, and it is.
And I respect that, but I have to just say that the things you are saying, they're your opinions and you're entitled to them.
Mhm.
It's your First Amendment right, and I encourage all to, use the freedom of speech. But your view may not be mine, and vice
Yeah.
versa. So, you know, I do agree that there's a lot of
We'll stay out of family court.
yeah, sad for
Stay out
but
of it.
people get divorced, don't
Yeah.
you know?
They could do it, on their own. And
Right, or try to come to an agreement. Because
well, I came to an agreement,
yes, you did.
and it was opened up without my permission, and my constitutional rights for the care and education of my children that were agreed to have been breached, and my children lost out on great education and
Wasn't it a private school they were going to?
Yes.
Montessori.
yeah.
Yeah.
And my daughter, who was not allowed to testify because Mary Brigham, who was not disclosed as a witness, said that she couldn't speak for herself, but yet she was able to table a discussion at 11 years old for 400 people and got a draft resolution accepted by the UN for Indigenous land rights.
That's amazing.
She's amazing, and she could talk about world politics with one of her older sisters. Incidentally, they're not allowed to talk to any of their siblings.
So they haven't seen them either?
No, they haven't seen any of their siblings, even my former husband's daughter, they're not allowed to talk with.
So you have a number of 4 children, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And the younger ones that are not in your care.
Yeah, and the older ones are adults. One's a social worker, and one works in a think tank. And
what's a think tank?
I can't discuss what she really does.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Extensively, but she works to counter certain extremisms in the media. And,
okay. Well, I respect that, and I know there's a smile on your face right now, but that's just for the camera. And
well, I'm really proud of my older daughters.
Right, I know you are, and you did so well raising the older ones.
And
you don't have the younger ones.
And I gave them everything. My younger ones, they had, music. My daughter was in a pre-professional ballet certificate program, and doesn't do that now. They both took mixed martial arts, don't do that now. Both took music lessons. My daughter's guitar is still in tune.
Oh, yeah.
And hasn't been touched in almost 2 years. So,
yep, there's her guitar right there.
She plays classical guitar. She also has a Fender Stratocaster. She's a lefty, so she's that upstairs. My son's drums are upstairs.
Yes, you did show me those, and you've done a lot with your kids. You've done a great job, but the family court system has
decimated my children. They destabilized my children. They have abused my children.
They've taken from them.
Yeah. What they did was destabilize my children just as much as they've destabilized me. And I don't know if they'll ever recover from this. 1 year separation from a parent is lifelong damage, and we're going on 2 years. I've never been, accused of neglect, abuse, never found unfit.
Now, you had said earlier, it's not that you can't see them, it's that you can't afford to see them.
Oh, yes, I was ordered that I could see my children under supervised visitation for 3 hours a month, and to see the judges, who the judge picked for the supervisor, and the judge picked for the therapist, which they share a business venture. And it amounted to, for 3 hours a month, it would cost me $2,350 to see my children for 3 hours a month.
3 hours a month?
Yes.
How would that work out?
It was $175 for the therapist every week with an undiagnosed condition, so you could not use insurance. And then it was $180 an hour for the therapeutic supervised visitation. and then the hour each way to drive. So it would cost me $2,350 and $2,350 to see my children for 3 hours a month.
You call it the pay-per-view.
Pay-per-view parenting, and I couldn't afford it then when I was working, and I can't afford it now that I am not in my former position.
So.
And I've tried. I've motioned to the court many times.
Right. Well, I saw your downstairs, and I was in shock with all of the information you have.
I filed for MSWs to be supervisors.
Well, just all of the motions and stuff you filed. Your dining room's no longer a dining room.
No.
It is an office.
It's an office.
Yeah.
One day I'll have a bonfire and my kids will be home and they will gladly have a big fire with me.
It's just, it's so sad. There's more and more people coming out and sharing their stories, and it's heartbreaking. Because the children are the ones that definitely will feel this for a long time to come.
They don't, they're innocent. They didn't pick, they got born. I got married. That was my choice. My children didn't choose to be born. They were, here.
I've seen you on the CTN, and you're very active. I would consider you an activist.
I don't consider I'm not an activist, I'm an advocate.
An advocate, activist, okay.
And
an advocate.
I've been described as bitter and vindictive.
Everybody has their opinion.
And bizarre, but if you look at any of my video testimony or read anything that's published, I don't think that I come off that way. I don't know how somebody is supposed to act when their children are taken from them for no reason and they are forced to either give their teacher's retirement or go to jail.
And that's what you had to do?
Yeah, and lose everything, lose my assets, lose my job, lose my children. How does somebody react? Have a party?
Have a party? Get married? I don't get it.
I don't know. There's also, they try to portray pro se people as angry and disgruntled, and
what's pro se?
Pro se is people that have to represent themselves without an attorney. In most cases, people can't afford an attorney.
Well, it's very expensive.
Yes. So through necessity, you have to represent yourself and learn how to do it. And
so you spent a lot. I know you spent a lot of time in the law library and so on.
Yes, I spent a lot of time in the law library trying to figure out what happened to me, and I figured out what happened to me, and I was able to find other people who didn't know that they were the only ones that this was going on with. You would be surprised at the amount of people.
It's far from an isolated incident.
They think that it doesn't happen to anyone else. My neighbor, I just found out last month, he asked me what was going on because he knows that the kids haven't been around, and my kids would get cookies from this neighbor and make presents for the other neighbor, and he said that his sister, same thing happened to her. He's not allowed to see his nephew. So it's very isolating, but it's also common, and people don't talk about it because it's embarrassing, because your identity, is a mother or a father, and
right, but there's no shame in what you're saying.
No, I didn't do anything wrong, and I will stand by that and stand by my statements, and I will straight out say that I have had judges lie, I've had attorneys lie, I've had so many breaches of my right to due process.
Denied?
Denied, walked on, just, who goes, go to jail or give your, forfeit your retirement.
And those are for the GAL fees.
That's for the
correct?
GAL fees,
Correct,
yeah.
yes.
There's also, the GAL fees also, they wipe out children's college funds. You know, so how's that in the best interest of the child?
Wow.
How is billing $130,000 in the best interest of the child when a child can only live at a station a parent is able to provide?
Right.
How could I pay to see my children $23.50 a month and pay a GAL $1,000 a month? How is that in the best interest of my children to be taken away from their primary attachment figure?
Now, you've sent in articles for Corrupt CT to post, and of course, thank you. But if you could say anything to the people listening, like, do you have any advice to give them? Like,
Speak up. Don't give up. Try to expose the corruption, the fraud.
keep your paperwork.
Yeah, keep your paperwork. Be copious with record keeping. Make sure you get a time-stamped motion. If you have an attorney, make sure you get a copy of every single piece of paper. Keep it in chronological order. You know, notes on your children. You have rights to your children's medical records. You have rights to your children's academic records. And those are denied to most people.
Why do you think that is?
I think that, the system is taken advantage of by greed and abuse of people, and they just try to incentivize conflict to keep a revenue stream going, and they're making all these dysfunctional kids for another generation of, revenue stream.
Right. Well, I'm glad that you decided to speak, and I'm going to ask that if there's any attorney out there that would like to take Susan Skipp's case on a pro bono basis.
My federal case, I'm just done with family court's a waste of time. It's just so corrupt, and it needs a federal investigation.
Right. So if anybody's out there and, would be willing to do this for her pro bono, please contact us at info@corruptct.com. In the subject line, you could either put support if you're somebody who is, supporting what she's doing or wants to learn more, or you can put regarding Susan Skipp.
Thank you for not making me talk about my children.
I would never do that.
I miss them so much.
I know you do. I know you haven't even been in this room, but it was important for you to tell others.
Yeah, it's very common. It's more common than not common.
Yeah. And I know it's tough for you, but you said you want to continue to speak out, so the public will hear from you again?
Yes.
Okay. So please, anybody who's watching this, please kindly, take a look at yourself and ask yourself, do you have time, as a federal attorney, to take on her case? From what I can see, she's very smart, knows what she's talking about. And she just needs help. She's not a lawyer, but she is seeking help, and that would be excellent if somebody could, out of the kindness of their heart, do that. And please, people, silence is the biggest enemy. We need to end the silence. As hurtful as it is to speak about it, we still need to end it.
Evil happens when good people do nothing.
Right. So, thank you very much, Susan, and
Thank you.
Be in touch with you again. And again, you can contact us at info@corruptct.com. Thank you.